Whoa, here again. How's it? I always materialise in this place. I'm meant to be trying to go to Madden Two Swords. Keep
Brilliant.
materialising in the wrong place.
You
God
keep. Oh no.
damn science. Meant to be helping us. Look at that. Got me here again. But since I'm here, I guess what we'll be doing is who is Speaker's Corner? And who do we have here? But one of the noblest and wisest people in this park, and a heart of gold and compassion is, I believe, to be found in this gentleman here. And that is no understatement as well. So this is who is Speaker's Corner. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. I'm getting better at this. My name's Martyn. Do you want to say who I am? So I'm an atheist first and foremost. If I tick the box, it would be atheist. But I have my broader reasons for why I would wear something satanic. So there's degrees of me that I would say in my activism I'm a Satanist. In other areas, I'm maybe a humanist. In other ways, I'm this and that. But first and foremost, I'm an atheist. First and foremost.
So, in a political sense, this question is, and
Okay.
a social sense as well, and not a personal sense, this question. Can you sort of describe your early adolescence, your childhood, and your experiences of understanding reality? Was it from a
Well, I
Christian's perspective, or
um, I was brought up in a household where it was my mum that was around more, and she was Christian, still is a Christian, goes to Salvation Army and stuff. Um, but it wasn't a heavy, very heavy Christian household. She didn't make very strict rules, maybe that you would find in a really heavy Christian household. So I went to church like I was supposed to, and didn't really get much choice in it.
we
There
don't
was
get much choice
there
in
were
it?
Sundays where I didn't have to go and I got to stay home and watch Clint Eastwood movies with my granddad, and that was
Yeah.
way more fun. And the 18, which I still love the 18.
Whoop, whoop.
But yeah, but I would have to go to church. The only reason any enjoyment I got from it was because I had some friends that went there, and we were all stuck having to go there. It's probably why. Um, but when it came down to the sitting around in a circle and doing those things, and I went through the different age groups. You start in the nursery level, and you kind of go up through the age groups, and you'll move to different people, and you go into more difficult topics. I had questions and I had doubts, but they couldn't really answer my questions and doubts. And now I can articulate what those doubts and questions are far better now than I could then. I knew something wasn't right and it didn't make sense to me because science was telling me one thing and they were telling me something else.
Wow.
And I always had more interest in science, but he never quite convinced me. And also the guy who's called Tony, he was a really nice guy. He later died of cancer, which also made me think he devoted his whole life to worshipping this God. This God then lets him die of cancer. It's a bit strange, but yeah. So I had all different kinds of reasons why I was doubting that, and then eventually I was old enough, as far as mom was concerned, you don't have to go to church anymore. So I was like, right, I'm done with that then. And then
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what an atheist is, what an agnostic is. I didn't understand any of that. I was like, I'm not a very particular feeling towards anything. And then I started to understand what an atheist is, and I found the atheist community of Austin, and they do a show every Sunday, every week. They've got lots of different shows, and then they discuss things to do with Christianity and atheism. And I was like, now I understand what I could identify as in a box, ticking a box. I'm an atheist. I was an atheist then. We're all born atheists. We don't know what a god is. We're not born believing in a god. We have to be taught that. That has to be pushed into us. Um, so yeah, I was right all along to have those doubts, and now um, my reason for coming here is because I
Oh, before we get onto
yeah,
that,
go on.
how did you feel you were respected as a child growing up when you had doubts in that Christian environment? Do you think those doubts were encouraged or repressed, or just wasn't even a thing?
Um, I think doubts that I had I don't think they could properly answer because they're not equipped to properly answer it because I don't think they have got the answers. They can only recycle sort of phrase, "Oh, God works in mysterious way. Oh, God has a plan,"
That's interesting.
and that's the kind of answer they give you. So when you say, "Why did this person die of cancer? Why are their children starving?" Oh, God has a plan. God's caring for them, and maybe I was too young to really have the ability to argue further with that or question further.
So there's a very limited perspective. I think that's it from your
Yeah,
teachers.
yeah, yeah.
And questions like that, which are genuinely fan. I don't know how old you were when you're asking questions like that, but to any age, having those questions is profound, and a reasoned response should be delivered because it's so important to understand how this universe and how this went too large with that, how this uh, Earth is structured and formed from a political human sense.
Um, and in terms of how I maybe got here, I kind of
Oh no, I'll
sorry,
still jumping
I
that
want to
one.
get to that one.
So we've done the Christian, we've done that your early adolescence. So satanic. Let's just I think
Yeah.
we should touch upon that
Okay.
before getting to here.
Um,
How was
well, if in those church days or after leaving church, if you'd still said, someone said to me, "Oh, you're satanic," or you should have a look at what the Satanic Temple's doing, I would have thought like, no, they're just a weird cult group or something, aren't they? I'd be like, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm into that. But then, as I said, I came across the Atheist Experience, which is atheist community in Austin. They're doing really good work in Austin, in Texas, which is right in the heart of the Bible Belt. So they're doing really good work. Um, they had their topic one time was about to do with Satanism or what the Satanic Temple is about. Um, and then I found listening to someone phone in and talk about that. I was like, oh, there's nothing bad about what they're saying. They want to defend women's rights. They want to defend the same things that I feel should be right. Why doesn't anyone else want to do that? Um, and so I was like, okay, so now I can see why I came with the preconception already that this is automatically bad because the Christian thing is still hanging on your head. It takes a long time to start to get rid of it because you've been indoctrinated in it. So it takes a while to start emptying that baggage and replace it with something better and more positive and you know all those sorts of things. So eventually I started to understand that, and I watched a documentary called Hail Satan question mark. It's a very good documentary. It's really really good. And as soon as I watched that, I'm like, oh my god, these are I would be on exactly the same protests that these people would be on. I would be at the exact same things that they are angry about, or the things they are trying to fight for. I would be exactly there. I'd join them if I could. Um, they're in America, but so I was like, well then, I can happily say yes, there are satanic ideas. If you want to call that satanic, a Christian wants to call that satanic, then yes, I agree with some satanic ideas, i.e., women have rights over their body, and America shouldn't be owned by a Christian state government that gets to force their laws on other people. It's not supposed to be that at all, and that's what they fight for, and um, that's their activism, and to me, that's what I want to represent in a way.
so now we're getting to where you were trying to jump to twice, which is how did Miss Speaker's Corner materialize in your mind, and what promoted you to act upon what you saw and witnessed, or to lead you here?
Yeah, so after in that little period of like, well, I don't think I'm really a Christian, um, but I'm not totally. I'm understanding what an atheist is. Can I tick that box? Um, keep going. Um, so then I found I was learning. I was kind of like I want to. Entered that kind of angry phase that a lot of atheists go into, which is when you realise you've been lied to the whole time, and this stuff they wasted your life on, and all this rubbish that you were put through. Then you start to become a little bit angry because you're like, well, this God that I was told is this great. I was lied to this whole time. Why was I? Why as a child was I made to believe that Noah's flood is this great, beautiful story when the reality is a story of genocide? If it was a true story, it's not a nice story. If it was real, and so I entered this angry phase. It's like, well, what do you do with this? You want to, well, not literally punch out, but you want to do something and fight back a little bit. You want to go, well, I wasted these years being indoctrinated in it, so now I want to spend years fighting against what I was indoctrinated into, and I want to find a way to fight back against it. So I was inspired by, in a weird way, um, the 1916 rising in Ireland. It's a weird connection to make, but I was really inspired about. That made me really believe that we should stand up for things that we believe in, and it's good to stand up against the bullies. The 1916 Rising is a really interesting period in history, and I'm not going to go on about it now, but you should really look into it because I find it so inspiring what they set out, what they were trying to do, and anyway, that's a whole other thing. But it's sort of a bit of that. And when I learned about, I had an uncle called Terry O'Halloran. You can Google him. You can find his Wikipedia entry.
What's his name again?
Terry O'Halloran. He was my uncle.
Google him.
And
Please.
unfortunately, I missed out on meeting him because he died heart attack around about my age, I think.
Wow, that's young.
And I sort of missed paths with him. He used to come down here. He used to do so much to fight back against the very right wing media that at the time wanted to attack people that were Irish because they were blamed for being IRA supporters and things like that. And he done a lot to defend those people. He defended my dad. My dad would sometimes be picked up by the police just because he had an Irish surname. That's how bad it was at one point. Um, and he done a lot to defend people's working rights, unions. He done a lot of work to help homeless people. He had the right ideas and he wanted to help people. And I was like really like I want to be like him. But I need my cause that I need to fight for. I need something that I'm passionate about that I can focus on, and that's what I'm driving to. And so I had this this atheism and this inspiration from other people to put them together, and I needed to find somewhere that I could go and do that. So I was used to coming across. You see the preachers on the high street now and again, different high streets, and I started to engage with them. I thought I'm not going to be the person that walks past and says nothing anymore.
Very brave of you.
I'm going to go
Very
right
brave.
up to them, and I don't care
Brilliant.
if I look like an idiot, if I look like a fool, if I look like whatever. I'm going to try and actually challenge them on what they say. Because most people just walk past, even if they disagree. Most people are like, oh, I'm not going to get involved. These people are mad, whatever. But I'm like, no, I'm going to actually go up to them and really try and challenge them and really make them think. Maybe not, they won't change their mind, but maybe I can get someone that listens to us having a dialogue. Maybe I can get them to think, or other people that are in that group to think. And maybe they'll find their way out of it like I did. Um, and then I thought, I want to do that, and I do that, but that's random when I come across people. I can't always predict when I'm going to find someone. So then I was like, I'm going to find Speaker's Corner. I'm going to see what this is all about. And I came up here, and I was like, it's a bit crazy. And then I saw you, and I was like, I had a feeling like, I got a feeling this guy's going to be okay. He probably comes across okay. I didn't talk to you at first. I wandered around, got a feel for people, got in bigger arguments, smaller discussions, and eventually I did come up to you and introduce myself and said I'd seen some of your videos and you seem like a nice guy, and I wanted to find someone I can make a connection with. And since then, I know there's another guy over there off camera. He's a really nice guy, and it kind of grew from there. And I know I still want to keep pushing forward with it because, as I've always said on the camera, standing up against the bullies and trying to do something non-violent. Nothing I've ever done has been violent or aggressive.
Very important.
And that's important, and that's how I've taken that kind of rule from my uncle Terry, because I found My aunt had a whole load of news clippings from when he died, when he passed away. Yeah, she had a whole lot of news clippings and bits from the paper from when he died because hundreds of people turned out for his funeral. He had such an impact on people,
Oh,
and they
wow.
all said how much he had inspired them, how important he had been at certain meetings, and how passionate he was about being at the front of some of those protests that he felt he had to be a part of. That inspired me, and that's why I was at the Black Lives Matter when I sat in the street and I felt I was connected to him in some way, that I was passing on something that he left behind, but also have my own cause, my own things that I want to fight for. But I want to do it the way he done it, which was non-violent but passionate to help people. And he was actually another event you can find it when Nelson what was happening with Nelson Mandela and apartheid and everything. Um, my uncle was one of the first people that set up the picket line, the long that went non-stop. Famously went on non-stop outside South Africa House. He was one of the original people that set that up, and he was there from the beginning right till the end. And so many people came to his funeral to thank him. Nelson Mandela's wife wrote a letter to our family thanking him for just how much work he put into to support Nelson Mandela and to be against racism and to stand up for good people. And I think that was so inspiring, so powerful that I was like, well, I need to pass it on somehow. I don't want it to end now. I want to carry on doing what he's doing. I don't, obviously, there's no Nelson Mandela cause for me to carry on, but I have my own cause. And I think people are being targeted the same way Nelson Mandela's being targeted. I think we have another buddies. There are buddies here with their Bibles, and so those are the people I'm against. So, like my uncle Terry, I'm doing a non-violent, peaceful, passionate, fair way, and I want to challenge them
So
the
what
same
is
way he might have challenged them.
so you've been coming here for a long time now. What is your views of Speakers Corner, and has it helped you grow those muscles of not only verbal oratation or oratorship,
Oratorial, I think.
oratorio? I reached the very limit of my word capability just then, everyone. So has it helped your or that word?
Yeah.
And also, has it had any other effects on your psyche and understanding of the world?
Um, when I first came here, I was like, I'm just going to walk through, not say anything. I'll just listen. I'll just get a feel for it. And then today, like if you look at how far I've come from then and how much more confident I am and how much
Wow.
more fearless in a way maybe I've become. Um,
Brilliant.
like I've walked up and down with one guy who literally supports the Nazis and fascism, and I haven't let him go. And I've walked up and down and been in his face, and because of some of the things he said he would do to me if he disgusting. Um, so that guy wouldn't have interacted on that me then when I first came here wouldn't have felt confident doing that, even though I still would have disagreed with him. Now I'm feeling like, well, no, I'm going to go straight after them. I'm not going to back down. And I've had people surround me and try and fire 20 questions at me, but I didn't feel like I needed to back down. I didn't feel small. I felt really strong, and it's partly because of your encouragement, and partly because I think of my uncle Terry, and I think, what would he have done? He didn't back down. He stood his ground. He didn't let the bullies push him around. He knew what he was right, what he was fighting for. So it's a good thing.
So I think what we're
Um,
saying here is that Speakers Corner is a place of debate, of course. But it's a great place where you can grow as a human being,
yeah,
grow in confidence and understanding. And Speakers Corner, therefore, is a real shrine to a human being, majority of human beings, of course, to this development of a human being, to create the self.
yeah. I think um, it also gives me a chance to test out because I'm always learning obviously watching those atheist debates, and it's always interesting. But it gives me a chance to, when I'm watching the debates with Matt Dillahunty and people like that, for me to test to see if have I actually learned what they're saying, and I can test it for myself. So I come here and speak to a Christian, and you come across the same things, evolution and the same kind of arguments. But it gives me a chance to test to see, do I really understand,
Wow.
and can I argue like maybe Matt Dillahunty or someone maybe more well versed, and I find that I can win up some of these debates and things pretty well, I think, because and my points come across quite well, and that's because I can come down here and keep practicing that and testing my ideas against someone that is the complete opposite of me. And I think that's good. That's good because if you're, I've said many times, like let's say you're very left wing, it's good that you engage with someone that's right wing because you need to test your ideas. You need your ideas put through the machine in a sense, because if they are good ideas and they are backed up by reason and logic, they'll come out fine at the other end. You shouldn't have to worry if your things are backed up well. You shouldn't have to worry about them facing criticism or
Can I just
things
quickly
like that.
add to that for the viewers out there? Because you don't know the subject in depth 100%, do not ever be intimidated by not having a discussion to begin
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
because those barriers that are found of where your knowledge no longer exists and it's just not understanding, that's a good thing. It's not something to be embarrassed upon. It's something that you can go away and then with understanding that's where an emptiness lies within your intellect, you can research, learn, and grow, and make sure that space in you is filled with as best possible knowledge and understanding compassionately with reality around you. So, yeah, you are going to get moments where suddenly you feel very vulnerable, potentially quite naked, not
yeah.
literally, please. There's not an excuse to get naked here. And don't be intimidated by that. Be proud that you have stretched and expanded yourself to the point where, oh, really? Really? That's an ambitious call. We just, some police are dealing with an event further down the park. It's nothing to do with Speaker's Corner. It's just they weren't aware Speaker's Corner existed when they first started on their mission to be heroes. So it's nothing to do with Speaker's Corner, just their hero nature, which is required at the far end of the park. I think we can now safely say that was done. I am now complete. Oh yeah, so yeah, when you reach that point where you don't understand, that is the greatest point to achieve, because we can. You're not condemned from the part to ever come back or any discussion, and you can go forth into the world, learn, explore, and then come back one day where that knowledge is now, and then discover new boundaries of your understanding of reality, which is an ongoing process. But oh boy, is that a great journey to go down.
Yeah, I think when I've been in discussion with a lot of these, and they want to go, where did the universe come from? Don't feel like, because it feels like you might feel small, like they're trying to intimidate you and they want you to explain evolution and all this, and I'll say straight away, I'm not an evolutionist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, I am in no way an expert in any of this. The information is there, you can go and find it easily enough. But don't feel like when groups like that may try and put you on the spot and get you to get really detailed and try and intimidate you, and then they'll go, oh, they don't know, and they think they've won something. It's okay to say, I don't know. That's a perfectly good answer to something, because at least you're being honest. And I always think, I don't know means I can go out and find something new.
Yeah.
It's better to say I don't know and keep going on when you know nothing about it, and then you look silly because you're making stuff up.
Yeah,
You see what I mean?
I think we've covered that subject, which means basically, as we've just discussed, there are boundaries within us. Don't be afraid ever to reach those boundaries and then explore the new horizon beyond that. So just an overcap of your idea of Speaker's Corner and something you'd like to see improve and something you enshrine, something you'd like to see improved here.
I think people need to a lot of people here need to understand or remind themselves maybe why they come here or what we should be doing here. It's about having a calm discussion, like the lady that was on before. We're on polar opposites on beliefs when it comes to maybe religion and things like that. But we could have a perfectly nice, civil, human conversation. Sadly, that's not the majority of speakers' corners.
But there are small elements. I would
Yeah, I was
say.
going to say it feels like it's more in the minority that are that. It feels like the bigger majority are there to kind of rile people up and they want to have a shouting contest, which falls down into name calling, whatever stuff like that. But the purpose of maybe what you wanted to discuss gets completely lost. Whereas I'd like to see what we want to try and do here, and maybe what we're trying to create. What we set out to discuss is what we stay on. It doesn't descend into an anarchy of conversation where it's name calling things like that, because no one learns anything. We don't learn a single thing at all, and it comes into some kind of competition on who's the bigger man or woman, silly stuff like that. It's schoolyard, school children and things like that, isn't it? But I'd like to see Speaker's Corner maintain some level or try and climb and get a better level of us being humans and just discuss ideas, have ideas and discuss them and engage with someone that's the opposite view of you, but remember they are human and try to be open-minded. That your ideas could be wrong. You have to be open to the idea that you could be wrong. But you'll only know that if you test your ideas against other people that have the opposite idea. And you'll both learn something. And if you still disagree, you go, all right, fair enough. Here's something for you to read, here's something I can read, and then we come back and we discuss that again or something.
Yeah, I'm just going to move the camera around. If you just hold that, and I just realised that maybe we should get. So this is actually Speaker's Corner behind me. I've just remembered. Maybe that's quite important to get that in shot.
Because if you show the grass there, it looks
Yeah.
very calm.
Yeah, sorry about that, viewers. My brain just is a little bit slow. Okay, but I do get there in the end. So who is Speaker's Corner? We've just had a wonderful discussion about Martyn here and who he is and what Speaker's Corner represents to him. I think it's been beautiful, profound, and discussions like this happen all the time here, and it isn't just dominated by the Hattoons and the Sudeti Steves and Bob the Destroyers, who wish it was all about them in their narcissistic cesspool that they indulge in constantly. Where Hattoon, by the way, I should say, suffered absolute horrendous trauma, so she isn't a narcissist in her. Bob the Destroyer is, as I just described, but Hattoon is someone that obviously suffered trauma and should be treated as with the respect for that reason. So yeah, well, thank you. It's been Who is Speaker's Corner? We've just had another great video there. I will be doing many more. This is the Age of Dust. Please subscribe. And the dust has now settled. Whoop, whoop. Thank you very much.